Thank you for being here. You're here on a special day, I'll tell you that.
Why is it not working, Jonsey?
They don't want to be locked into a house or an apartment.
Got to follow the social distancing rule.
And some nuff dicks were getting tested, then going in and doing a shop.
COVID. I had it.
Detective George Bennett.
Yeah, he's a bellend. Absolutely.
George, don't say hello to you. Like,
I don't know. I'm actually genuinely embarrassed.
I broke my back.
A vertebrae or a portion?
Spinal.
I think you could.
Mate, Jonsey, just do that thing where you just put Bill's talking and let me see I can hear him first.
Jonesy redid the intro, mate.
Yeah. Oh,
Cracker.
Bored, mate. That's one benefit of lockdown. Gives you a bit more time to have a fiddle.
Plenty of time in your hands.
Plenty of time to have a fiddle.
It's a bit of a long intro, though. It's good, though.
Yeah, we could probably trim it up a bit. I'll have another play with it during the week. Get it down about 30 seconds.
Can you guys hear that? That's my fucking washing machine. It's just screaming at me. I think we talked about this last week. It's like, I'm done!
Like, that's actually a fucking good start because I've got a rant that's pissing me off. It's pissed me off every single day up here in Andorra, and today was the worst. Man, so I drove down the hill today to start training because I wanted to train down a bit lower altitudes. And there's a speed camera. George knows it well. It's in Soldeu, which is a couple of K down the road from where I am. The speed limit there is 70K an hour. 70K an hour. Every time you come up to that speed camera, you're behind a car, they fucking put the brakes on and they slow right down, way below 70. Today, this guy, he slowed to 35. 35. And, mate, I was up his ass, so I gave him the old friendly honk. And
is there such thing as a friendly honk?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, mate.
Sorry, mate.
Do you know how he responded? He responded by pointing. He pointed at the speed camera. I was like, yes, mate. Yes. I realised there's a speed camera there. And I've also got a pretty good understanding of how they fucking work. So I know that your Citroen is not built for speed or comfort or looks or anything like that, but it's perfectly capable of going 70K an hour. And the way speed cameras work, it's like if you go over the speed limit, it flashes and it sends you a ticket. If you go below it, it does nothing. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't hand out fucking spot prizes to people who go the slowest. Like, if you can go through it at 70.
You should get fined if you go too slow because that's just as dangerous. You know, you come around a bend and someone's putting at 30 instead of 70. It's a good chance you're going to go fair up there, buddy ginger.
Mate, we've got a good game we play with traffic lights. Shut up! It works. You can sort of do it in that one, but it's the best one I've seen is at Sierra Nevada. So when we're like training, and you go up the mountain and you're an altitude camp there. There's a speed camera at 70K an hour, and all the cars come down to like you say, they always overestimate, go to 60, and you're coming down there at 80 on the bike. So what we did for like 3 weeks on Sierra Nevada is every day we'd come down there and we just tried to stitch people up. So you'd try and time it so that you would pass them as they were going to the speed camera and you'd be going 80 or 90. It's a full fast. Everybody that's been there knows the stretch of road. And we'd do a full lead out train and try and set the camera off so that, they might have been doing 50, but we were doing 90 and stitched them up with a speeding ticket.
Arseholes. Hey, talking of rants, there was that belter that we shared on the WhatsApp group that's doing the rounds.
Oh.
This is pretty much the state of all Victorians at the moment. Have a little nibble of this one.
You listen to fucking Daniel Andrews. You listen to all the fucking stupid fucking idiots that are owned by the government. Shit's going to happen. They've asset stripped the whole fucking economy. We can't get out of our houses until fucking September. Over a fucking flu and figures. And all you care about is fucking, oh, look at this, he's fucking cooked. Yeah, I'm fucking cooked. I'll fucking smack you in the fucking head. Come out of me house in fucking 6 weeks. Fucking biffs on, you fucking dogs. You stupid fucking in Australia. You think the government's testing how fucking strong you are. If you're gonna fucking stand up. They don't care. You fucking idiots.
He raises a few good points, doesn't he?
Does he?
No. He's cooked.
He doesn't raise a single good point.
He's cooked.
Oh,
I love
the
when
best part to me about
set him
that.
off when he's going, "Oh, this guy's cooked." Yeah, I'm cooked.
Yeah, I've got Biff's on. When I come out, Biff's on.
Mate.
Yeah,
He's lost it. Hey,
I like when he talks about what he's on further on. If you watch the rest of that video, he talks
Yeah.
about the reason he's cooked. It's not the meth. It's the fluoride. It's the fluoride in the water that's got in his head.
He's drinking the town's water.
Yeah.
Yeah. But geez, what's going on with your country, boys? You were bloody high-fiving. There was concerts with Davebbins, and you're beating COVID, and all the restrictions are done, and then bang, out of nowhere, away we go again.
We were off. Well, mate, it was always going to happen, wasn't it? Oh, I mean, they did pretty well, but at the end of the day, like, this bloody thing's everywhere, and it's obviously coming from overseas through whatever leak.
I heard it was a security guard from Australia. I thought I think he's
the same one that was playing up.
Yeah.
He slept with someone in the hotel. That's how it all started.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the case in New Zealand, but anyway, we've got it there now. But Jacinda's in such a tough position, eh? Like, she's sort of backed into a corner a little bit because she did so well to get the country to COVID free, and yeah, we had cases in managed facilities at the airports, people who have come in from overseas who were positive, but they were in the controlled quarantine or whatever. But we had zero community transmission, no cases outside of those hotels. But that's the expectation now, So if there's any more than zero, the country is going to give a shit. And I mean, that would be great. But look at the rest of the world.
500 a day over here still. I mean, in Catalonia, 500 a day.
Mate,
and we have 13.
40,000 in the last 24 hours in Brazil. 40,000.
Jeez. It's like you said, Jonsey, the other day, and when you were talking about Melbourne, and you're saying how it brings out all the dickheads, and man, this 13 cases has brought out a lot of dickheads in New Zealand, and the real upshoot of this, what I've noticed is that COVID's been great for is getting rid of a lot of friends on Facebook. So people that I grew up with, whatever, or people that used to be mountain bike scene and things like this, you just see the shit they share, and then you go, it's such good criteria. You go through it and you go, boom, unfriend. And you're just thinning out a lot of dickheads because for some reason, this is the issue that everyone is the hill everyone wants to die on, this is our democratic right. I actually had an interview the other day, and it was after one of the races this week. And it was meant to be a sporting interview, and it just turned into me having a full rant about the state of New Zealanders. I was just people all complaining about the idea that we're going to have to.
So the guy's congratulations on your win, George. And you're well, they're fucking Kiwis, mate. Don't get me started.
It essentially went down that. And then after about 5 minutes, he's yeah, George, if we could just get back to cycling. I was
what were you saying? What were you saying in the interview?
Oh, just how I was just pissed off because I'd just been on Facebook, and that was a problem. And I just seen 4 people sharing articles about how this was against going back into level 2, which is level 2 is nothing. Level 2 is just wash your hands, please. Essentially, that this was unfair, and that what a no one can make us do this, and everyone's having this huge uproar. And I was you got no fucking idea. We were stuck it's so hard. We were in lockdown for maybe level 3 in Auckland. You got no idea. Not to make COVID a pissing competition about who had it worse. We couldn't leave our house for 2.5 months.
Yeah.
We
saying that on the WhatsApp chat.
Yeah, I would love to just take it. I think in general, this podcast is all about basically just talking about things we have no idea about and trying to get a reaction. So we have actually no real idea what's happening in New Zealand. I think generally
I've been there for a long time, so yeah.
I think generally the population's doing all right. But I would love to take that real small minority, that method that we showed earlier, and just plonk them into Spain in the middle of April, just for 24 hours, and be mate, this is a lockdown. This is a lockdown. We had a bit of a dick swinging contest in the WhatsApp group as well. I know in Victoria the lockdown is it can't get much more strict for sure. You guys are completely locked down. But we were at the point where the only thing we could do was go and buy food. That was it. So the lockdown.
And you got harassed by the police when you did it.
I got harassed by the police.
One day.
It got to the point where you needed to have a form filled in to carry with you when you went to the supermarket. Lockdown can't get any more. The only thing they could have done to lock us down more was to say you can't go and buy food. So these guys in New Zealand, level 2, level 3, guys, just suck it up, man. Get it done. Do it. We're all one family.
Were we talking last week or last step about what happens to people that get sentenced to house arrest? What happens there? Like, if you do some sort of corporate crime and they go, all right, we're going to sentence you to 3 months house arrest, you're like, well, that's what they're doing anyway.
Well, it happened in New Zealand. This Kiwi guy took in the initial lockdown in April or whenever it was. He tried to take New Zealand government to court because he was on house arrest, but he had a release time from like 9 till 6 or 9 till 5 p.m. every day, where he could go out and do whatever he wanted to do during the day, obviously staying close to home or whatever. And then when the lockdown happened and then people weren't allowed to leave home, he protested that his conditions of house arrest weren't being met. So he tried to he's like, mate, the whole fucking country's doing it.
Yeah. But he had to pay. I read this bloke had to pay $30,000 of legal costs because he took them to court and lost, and he was liable for all the court costs, which was $30,000. So he flicked himself in a big way, which was good to see. Good to see.
So what? Explain to me, what is the whole theory with this is a government conspiracy? I mean, what are the benefits here? Like, what are people saying that is the agenda?
Well, I saw
in the water.
Yeah, I saw there's a party in New Zealand, a political party called, you might know, George, New Zealand First? No, it's not New Zealand First. It's someone else. It's some other guy, New Zealand for Our Rights or some shit like that. Some minority party that would get.
It's not votes. A Brian Tamaki backed Destiny Church.
No, it's not. But it's a similar vibe.
On those lines. Okay, yeah.
And he was saying, I watched this Facebook Live with him, and he's quite an articulate dude, as they all are. But he was saying that he's got proof and he's got leaked documents from the government that this lockdown was always planned on that specific date for the last like 2 months or something. So it was all a conspiracy that the government was always going to do it on that day. They're going to say we had no cases, and then in the blink of an eye, they're going to say, we've got 4 now or whatever it was at that point. So we're going to lock down level 3 in Auckland. We're going to try and work it all out. So he's protesting conspiracy. But what idea behind it?
Yeah, what do the government get out of it? Locking people down?
All. Nothing. Bad.
Doesn't make any sense. I think the guy's been on too much fluoride. I had a bloody good Zoom chat the other day with some mates from Sale. Geez, they're underrated. That was a banger. Nah, it's all blokes.
Wait, can we just for the people that don't know, can we list off some nicknames of your mates in Sale, because some people might have missed that episode and there's some real bangers. So who was on the Zoom call?
I had Spish, Juddo, Gorza, or they call him Gorgeous, Reno. And then my other mates, you're thinking of Bunga, Illy, Dimo, Fruit Bat.
Fruit Bat.
And Mike.
Yeah, and Andrew.
Yeah, and Andrew.
But the best thing about it is, like, it started out like, when you do these group Zoom chats and you haven't spoken to people for a while, you're thinking, give it half an hour, give it an hour. We'll sort of run out of things to talk about, much like this podcast, wrap it up and then off you go. But it just, the yarns just kept going. Before I knew it, I'd knocked over almost a bottle of gin. So I'm on the back of a 2-day hangover. But it was fucking hilarious. Like, Spish told this story and I've forgotten about it. And what it was like 10 years ago, and he was living in Paynesville, which was like an hour's drive from Sale. And he gets a phone call from his auntie and she says, Matt, his mum's away on a trip. She goes, I got some bad news. Your family dog, Sammy's passed away. Like, I went round to feed him and he's dead on the concrete. And he's like, oh, shit. All right. So drove an hour up to Sale, looks at Sammy. It's a stinking hot day. It's like 40 degrees and he's just there on the concrete. And he's, sitting there and he's having a moment. He's all upset and he's like, fuck, what do I do now? Like, I'm going to have to bury him. So he thinks, I'll bury him in the backyard. And this is one of those summers where, it hadn't rained for months. So it's just concrete. So he's got the shovel out and he's got the sweat going. He's still emotional looking at his dog. He reckons it took him about 4.5 hours and he's finally dug this pit. And he finally looks down at Sammy, says a little bit of a eulogy, family dog, lifts him up, throws him in the pit. As soon as he hits the pit, the dog wasn't dead. It just passed out to the heat. And he's like, I spent 4.5 hours. I just got heat stroke and just passed out on the concrete. You reckon it's like the guy digging through raw concrete, and then he's finally thrown it in the pit, and it's just
what did he do? Smack the dog over the head. I just want
Oh, that's so good.
You can't script that shit.
No.
It was great. Great.
So you got you recovered from the hangover?
Oh, mate, it was not only a hangover, it was one of those ones where the day just dragged on. Like, the kids are obviously up and about and, little things were going wrong. I was sitting on the couch and Sarah's to the left and Willie's to the right. And Sarah went to give Willie a high five, missed it. And Willie went to slam Sarah's hand, hit me fair in the nuts. Just one of those hangovers. I was just in a hurt box. And then you look and you go, geez, why did I get to that point? Like, why did I get to the point at 11 o'clock where I'm like, yeah, I'll need a few more. But,
Especially on Zoom, that's the thing. I mean, like in person, it's easy to get caught up in the moment, maybe someone pours you another drink, someone hands you another beer, but like you're sitting there, you have to pour that gin into that glass or drink it out, It's not
we had a couple of Zoom calls with some unnamed teammates throughout the lockdown. Every couple of weeks, whatever, we're calling it like the team pub or something. So we catch up once every 2 weeks. And the particular host of this Zoom call this night, he was smashing back some I don't know what he was drinking, something stronger than beer anyway. And there was just a few of us left. And you could see him, he was just like sitting there, just like nodding off, throughout the last 5 minutes. And then he's hosting the Zoom call, so he has to end it or whatever, but there were still a few of us there that weren't ready to leave. And he hadn't spoken for about 10 minutes and he just goes, boys, I gotta go. I'll leave the Zoom call on. And he just stood up, turned the light off, closed the door and just fucked off.
I heard a great story. I think about this particular host. I actually heard this story 2 days ago from when you guys went. This was from one of my teammates told me the story. So if you thought you got away with this, you didn't, because it was when you went to Shanghai. About what?
No, because it was this year.
No. About Shanghai when you went to a criterium. And I think what happened. So basically, you go to. If people don't know what criteriums are, like they're display races. They're not races. And so there's a couple. There's like Utsunomiya and all these ones in Japan, and there's one in Shanghai this year. And our team went. I think 4 of you guys went, or 5 of you guys went. And it's just a holiday. It's the end of the season. No one cares. And you get start money, and then you get a holiday and whatever. They fly you out there, and the criterium is that you have to do 1 hour race, a certain amount of laps. And I heard that the boys are telling me that they went out, had a few beers the night before the race, and it was pretty late, and they had a bit of a shine on, and it was like, oh, well, we're still going to do this 1 hour tomorrow. This 1 hour race is probably been quite hard, and they were a bit groggy. So we'll go in, we'll call it a night. But so as they were walking out, I don't know, 1, 2 in the morning, Mitchelton Scott rolling in, Jules at the helm, and the next morning, I heard that you boys didn't even make it back to the hotel. All you did, you didn't get to bed. You got back to hotel to put kit on, made it to the start lines, took turns at riding, 1 on the front, go to the back, have a yak, make it back to the front.
That's 100% accurate.
I heard one of the boys couldn't even kit up properly. He managed to get his chamois, managed to get his shorts, not even the bottom of his shorts, didn't even manage to get them above his knees. So he was riding along like like a 90s skater with his chamois halfway down his legs.
Mate, we reversed into the hotel about an hour before we had to leave for this crit. And I went to my room, had a cold shower, and ate a pot of 2-minute noodles. Chucked my kit on and went to the start. And then we got to the start. We had like 3 hours at the start or something. And we had these pits all lined up for each team. And there was like people asking for, sort of walking through the pits, asking for autographs and everything. And all the riders are out of their pits meeting and taking photos and meeting and greeting and all that. We just zip closed our like tarpaulin thing and just shut it down for like 3 hours before the race. And yeah, we had to ride the front. It was hard, man. It was hard. It was 60K, and I was swapping off on the front with another guy from our team. I had to pull, at one point I was like, fuck, I'm going to spew.
Oh, so grim.
And I like swung over to the barriers, and like Burnell and stuff are there. And they're just looking at us like, what the fuck are these guys doing? But I did a good job.
I've only seen it once when we were in Tour of Austria one year, and you always heard stories about old cycling, you know, like you heard like, when I was coming in, you heard stories like, hey, people go to the Vuelta and they'll go out all night, or you hear, you know, the famous story about like some of the old Aussie boys from, you know, early 2000s. They just go all night, get up, race, big engines, and that's nothing like cycling now. Cycling's, man, you would never even step out of your hotel. It's just so focused, so whatever.
Yeah, and
like,
that's why the Shanghai one's different, because the Shanghai,
Shanghai's not
in the middle. It's in the middle of November. It's like 1 month after the season ends. And
it's not even a race; it's a display.
That was the same with the staff. Like early days with Orica Green Edge. I mean, we used to give it a fair shake. Like it even races at the tour. I remember waking up at a car park in bloody Alpe d'Huez, thinking like, "What the fuck?" I was like 3 k's from the hotel.
What about in the States when you went to the wrong hotel and you woke up next to the ice machine?
Oh yeah, no, we got our drinks spiked that for sure. For sure, we went out in Richmond for the Worlds. And we would have had 3 pots. And the last pot we remember having, or we're at this bar, and it was like...
For New Zealand listeners, a pot is not a pint. It's a...
Nah, it's, what,
glass.
300 ml glass of beer. This guy walks in, and he had these 2 young guys, and he's like, hey, how you going, guys? And we go, yeah, good. And he goes, where are you guys from? Oh, we're from Australia. He was a doctor. And the last thing we all remember having is he shouted us around. We had a drink, and that was it. Lights out. No one remembers like how they got home. I woke up head first in a few carrot chunks next to a bloody ice machine at the Best Western. I was staying at the Western, so I got 600 meters from the hotel at the wrong hotel.
But I don't mind that. I'd be open to like on a night off. I mean, someone's going to medicate you for free, launch you. I mean. Unless he did something to you, were you that worse off for the experience? I mean, did you not have a good night?
Oh, it just ended too quick, and I was so quick the next day. Like for sure, we were bloody drugs.
Oh, that's 100% spiking.
But what was the point though? You've spiked 4 Aussie blokes just out having a good night. Like what a waste.
Yeah, but you don't know what he did to you. You don't know. Maybe he did have a good. Maybe he had a motive and it worked out for him. You got no idea.
Well, that's right.
You woke up next to an ice machine.
Maybe he was staying at the Best Western.
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah. Oh, one other thing I forgot yesterday, which put me in a real hurt box, was I've committed to raising money for breast cancer in Australia. So Sarah wanted to do it, 10,000 steps a day. And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. No worries. Problem was, and most of the time, 10,000 steps, it's what, an hour and a half walk, 2 hour walk or whatever.
It's about 10K. Almost.
Yeah, but because I was hungover, I'd forgotten all about it. I got to like 7 at night, and I've only done 4,000. We've got a treadie in. I'm like, fuck. But I'd realised after Sarah goes, look, you want a really good sleep? And I said, yeah, of course. Here, take this sleeping tablet. This will knock you out. You'll be fine. So
Sounds
I've
like
taken
the
it.
Best Western.
Yeah. But then I've gone, oh, fuck, I've got to do 6,000 steps. And it was half an hour into taking this sleeping tablet. So I got on the treadie and I'm trying to knock the steps off. But as I'm getting on, I'm getting so rude. At one point there, I had like arms out either side just to prop me up as I'm like getting through to the end of it. But got me 10,000, and then I reckon my head sunk about 4 foot into the pillow. Oh. So if everyone wants to donate to the cause, Bills, I have to give you the link. give some money because, as you've heard, I've gone to extreme lengths to knock these 10,000 steps off every day.
Mate, after hearing that, I'm prepared to donate a bit to that because, I mean, that's, a lot of people would have just gone, no one's going to know if I do these steps or not. But you've gone
hungover, sleeping tablet, and I still
think
did
that's
them.
worth. If you can't donate for that, then where's your heart? I mean, Jesus.
Exactly.
That reminds me of something that like the late night thing, like these challenges that we committed to. And 1 year, 2018, my girlfriend Caitlin decided to do the year of the sit up. So on January 1st you do 1, on January 2nd you do 2, and December 31st you do 365 a day. And the amount of times it'll get to like we're just pinned. You get to bed like 11 o'clock, and then you're lying in bed, and then she just goes fuck, and you go watch. She goes, I haven't done my sit ups. I was like, all right, oh well, that's it. That's the end of the challenge. I guess you're not going to do it this year, then, are you? She just get up, do
Did she do it all? Did she get to the end of the year?
Every single one.
By the end, she would have had like 6-pack.
She said she didn't. She reckoned she didn't gain a single muscle. Like didn't. She reckoned she didn't change at all. And then she was like, "Oh, cool. It's a myth. You're either born with it or not."
That's a shame. Jeez, you think if you're busting 365 out,
I know
you're doing bugger all early on.
The first. I mean, I think it's a real hard last 3 months, and then but I just don't like. Who are you challenging? Like, I know it's good, but like,
hey, do you reckon we could go through this whole episode because the listeners are like, you won a race a few days ago, and then you finished second in Lombardia yesterday, which is fucking huge.
I didn't even see the results. You ran second.
Oh,
he ran second.
Yeah, second.
Shit, mate, that's awesome.
Yeah,
thanks,
I'm like, it's up there with one of the best things you've done.
Fuck, that's huge. That's that's a monument.
It's a monument. George was second, and like when he won on the race 2 days before Lombardia, this was before he finished second in a monument. People were going nuts. Our listeners were going nuts. Like the amount of comments that we got, the likes and shares and chapeaus we got. There was a bloody shitload of them. So these guys are really looking forward to hearing about these races and George's win in particular. So do you reckon we should just
got 27 minutes in and we've only mentioned that? I didn't even see the results.
I was gonna say, should we just not do it?
Yeah, I don't need to talk about it. I really don't need it. I got up at 4 a.m. this morning to get home. I'm hidden, so I don't need to relive that.
Well, all I did see was there was some nasty crashes. They were talking about a descent or whatever at the Dauphiné, that the road service was shit house.
I got a message from Tom last night from Dumoulin, and he said it was a fucking joke. He said it was like meter-wide potholes full of gravel, and there was no warning. Like normally, like on a radio, like on World Tour, you get a radio, says a motorbike ahead, and like say you come into like, there's a section with roadworks. They put out a huge warning, APB, like on like you hear on the radio, and everyone goes, "Okay, guys, slow down." And then there's marshals there slowing it down. They said no warning, nothing. Came around the corner, boom, just everyone on the deck and like fast. So we, our team took a massive hit yesterday. We took Stevie's got a dislocated shoulder, and Rogler, he didn't start today in the Dauphiné. I don't know what the damage is on him, but I mean, I think he'll be all right. And then Bookman was out, and then did you see Lombardi? You saw Caitlin just showed me a video of Schuckman. Man, car just pulled on the core. Did you see the video?
Yeah, and obviously Remco as well had a nasty crash.
That was he was, I guess, on the cylinder back. I had no idea about that. I got to the bottom and looked behind.
He was behind you, and so what happened, Jonsey, was they were coming off the Shimano climb, which is like a notoriously dangerous descent. And at that point, there was only 7 guys in the front group. 50k to go. The race had been bloody nuts, like really, really, really hard, which makes George's ride even better. But on the descent, Remco Evenepoel, who was arguably the favourite to win the race, he cooked up the corner and he hit the edge of a bridge, basically, like a viaduct, and toppled straight over it and fell 5 meters.
That's a long way down that one.
Jeez, that's a real long way down. About 5 meters down a ravine.
Far out.
So that was pretty scary. And then I don't know why whoever operates the production company, whoever operates the filming, feel the need to continuously go back and show that replay. You know?
Oh, they just don't.
Yeah.
I hate that.
And show the ambulance there and show all
You got no idea. Like his parents are sitting in Belgium watching that.
Exactly. It's bullshit, man. And like, thankfully he's fractured his pelvis, but that's the worst of it. So that was, I mean, it could have been a lot worse.
Essentially okay after falling off that bridge is like it's like, I mean, to describe this corner, it's like we talked about specifically, like how often do you ever talk about like this corner on a downhill? And we sat in the bus with all the guys and we're like, boys, whatever happens on this corner, fucking watch out, because Barkeland's broke his spine there. Duplessis also broke his, I think he broke his shoulder or something. He really bad crash. Gilbert crashed there. Man, it's the list of people who have, so it's a full, hard, nasty right-hand corner that tightens up on yourself. Then straight away into a left and you're going super quick and there's gravel on the bridge and you wash wide and like, Nibali was trying to attack, I think. I don't know. Like, I didn't have the feeling we were really pinning it, but someone said Remco was already gapped off a little bit, and I think he was trying really hard to come back onto the wheel. And like, I mean, you can't make everything safety proof, but like,
no. I think it's a dangerous descent, but ultimately, going down these hills it's a part of racing. Yeah. And we understand the risks and all that stuff. And like, nobody did anything wrong there. No one's to blame. It's not horrible, like
Poland with the barriers.
No, it was a horrible racing accident. Yeah, that exactly. was obviously another shocking crash happened last week as well. First stage tour of Poland. Scared the shit out of me, to be honest. Fuck, man.
Oh, yeah. I bet you've been there. You were there last year with Bjorg as well when Bjorg passed away. Man, that must have been on this, and it was the 1 year anniversary when Jakobsen crashed. So, like, man, that must have been because I remember talking to you that day. I specifically remember the day Bjorg died. I remember where we were, and we talked, and I think we talked on the phone that day, and you were like, we talked for a while, and you were just completely fucked. You know, I wasn't there, and I still just sat there, and I was like, "What are we doing?" You know, this young kid's died, and
that was the single most, the most horrible moment of my cycling career, and it always will be. That that was sad. And then when Jakobsen crashed, man, like that was so bad, and everybody was thinking the worst. You couldn't help it. And
I mean, it's 90 km an hour. So I heard that the Garmin stopped on the guys at 85, and Jakobsen was coming a lot faster than everybody else. And everyone. So this is quite a notorious sprint. This one in Poland, you go up round a roundabout, and everyone who's done Poland always does this and always says, "Why the fuck are we doing this?" It's a downhill. It's a big wide road, and it's just fast downhill. And so like. And it's just who's the craziest, really. Who's prepared to go 90 km an hour and with 150 guys all charging to a line? Like, of course, something bad was going to happen. But then, hindsight, like the thing that annoys me is it takes something like this for us to go, yeah, that's not acceptable. Like, why don't we do it before that happens and go, this isn't acceptable because this will happen.
There's a lot of people to blame for that incident, I reckon. You can't single out one person or one organisation or anything. No. There's a whole lot of things that could have been done to prevent that by a whole lot of people. But thankfully for Fabio, he's okay, if that's a word we can use. He's
relatively speaking,
he's alive, and he'll race a bike again by the sounds. He's pretty banged up. There's no doubt about that. But the news was received bloody well in Poland and across the world, I think, when everybody heard that he was going to be all right. Anyway, Jesus, let's get the spirits.
Bring them. Get out of it. Should we get out of there?
Let's
get him.
Let me tell you about Spish's dog.
No, let's talk about George. Let's talk about George's win. Come on.
Yes. No. So George, did you have a Barney with Nibali on the Shimano climb? Come on.
Okay. If you want to hear the full rundown of this, I got to give you a bit of background.
You can censor it if you like.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll tell the story and we'll see if we need to edit it.
I've already.
But no, it wasn't specifically
out of this episode. So.
So if there's a big block missing from now. If we just start talking about another story, you'll know that this no, not too bad. So we're going into the we started the race, and straight away first breakaway went after 60k or whatever, and I put a guy on the front, said, right, we're gonna ride, quick step riding, and then Trek had everybody, and I was like, oh, you guys gonna ride? Obviously defending champ, they've got Nibali, they've got whatever. No, we're not gonna ride. Okay, whatever. So we were riding, and then we go down this crazy downhill where the race really starts. Normally it blows into groups, and it did break up a little bit, but not bad. And then you have this nuts running along the lake before you start the Gazalo, which is where the race just absolutely exploded. This year we did the Gazalo, the fastest I've ever done it. It was like the smallest group I've been in at the top. Normally it's never like so selective. And then on the way into the Shimano, I rode past Ciccone, and they had the Trek guys there, and Chris Harper, the young Aussie boy, he was doing a great job. He was bringing me to the front, and somewhere in the line, Ciccone was at the back of his train, and you know how it works. He lost his train and decided it was our fault for riding there. And he said, started yelling at me and telling me, and basically saying, you can't ride there. You can't go there because this is where my team is. And I was like, mate, this is a full gas race. There's guys everywhere just sprinting, swerving. It was just absolutely nuts. I was like, I'm pretty sure I can go here. But we had a bit of an argument, and whatever. And I was like,
no sugarcoat. You said, mate, get fucked.
Yeah, essentially I did. And then what happened was 2k later, he still hadn't found his chain. And by this time I'd gone, well, the left side's not working for me. I'm going to try my luck on the right side. So I've gone across the bunch, and I found myself sitting right beside him, and I was like, don't say it. And then I was like, and I should have left it, but we'd had the blue, and I just turned to him and I said, just checking, is it okay if I ride here though? Am I allowed to ride here? And then he just went fucking nuts. And then I was like, oh, I didn't need to say that. Why did I need to say that? I'm such a dick sometimes. But anyway, so I asked him, I can ride here. And then he was just, fanculo Dio cane, shit or whatever. So then we get the Gazalo, the selection's made. We're riding up the Shimano, and you want to be at the front. Everyone knows there. And here, one guy riding out on the side of the peloton, and instead of riding behind him, he just started coming in on me, leaning on me, pushing, smashing the bars. And I was like, fuck this. So I just...
Is this Nibali?
No, this is Ciccone. And so I pushed him back. He pushes me again, pushes him back. And I ended up pushing him out And so what he does is Nibali's sitting behind us, and he sees this, and he goes, I'm not having a fucking bar of this young New Zealand guy chucking his handlebars at my Italian teammate. So Nibali comes straight up to me, whack, straight out the bellow. I was like, oh. And then I was like, all right, I should leave this as well. But then Ciccone then chipped in and said, yeah, but you're not going to push him back, are you? Yeah, you won't do it to him. You won't do it to him. And I was like, is that a challenge? And then I was like, so I leaned on him once, and then I was like, oh, what am I doing? Like, this is Nibali. He's won how many Grand Tours? And then I was like, this is actually a waste of energy. I'm so.
And he's actually not a bad dude, Nibali.
Yeah, he's not a bad guy. My beef wasn't with him. We weren't having an argument. Me and Nibali weren't having an argument.
No, I sit in the camp of fuck him, George. Who are they? Who are they?
Well,
You're
the
George
thing that annoyed
Bennett.
me was that's what annoyed me. The thing was like, oh, you won't. Just this little guy, this little pit bull, just little chipping him from the back row. Like, yeah, you won't push him. Yeah, you get him. Maybe you won't push him. You know?
Yeah.
And then I was just like, why did you just do it? This was me and you, mate. Like, why go get? Of course I'm going to push Nibali. He's fucking man. I don't want to push him. In the end, I was like, okay, all right, you guys ride in front, and then we'll see what happens. And then we'll see what happens on the Shimano. Unfortunately, they had 3 guys over the Shimano, so then I was like, oh fuck, this is not going how I wanted it to. But
then you dropped them all next climb.
Yeah, and eventually it worked out. But
then when you went to step up on the podium, did you go, is it all right if I step up on here? Dickheads.
Hey, Gio. Fucking. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you've had a pretty good couple of days, eh, George?
Yeah, it's been a good run, man. I tell you what, the Piemonte was, man, it was hot. but cool race, whatever. And I did a lap. And I was like, I don't think I can. It wasn't a very hard climb. It was only like last 1K was steep. But luckily, it just started pissing down, and it was hot all day. It was like 38 degrees, and then 1K before the top of this climb, and it was just hasn't rained for weeks. So it's like this. It was already super slippery. There was a big crash on the last downhill because Dion. I saw Dion today. Man, he's pretty banged up. For anyone wondering, after 6th in San Remo, he's had stitches, big eye. But anyway, so they crashed just on the try, and then it just starts raining. And I managed to get a bit of a gap on the last climb. And then the first downhill, I went around the corner and I like lost my back wheel and went, oh, this is so slippery. And I looked back and I had a bit of a gap, and I was like, right, I'm just going to commit. And I committed fully to the downhill and took like 5 or 6 more seconds. And then luckily the guys behind, I think it was a group like with Van der Poel and Lucy and stuff, I think they also had the same experience where they lost, one guy slipped on the first corner, and then that was it. And then if it hadn't been raining, I wouldn't have got 5 meters, It was like, so I was pretty lucky there. And then, it was the first time I've ever crossed the line first. And I didn't know what to do with my hands. I didn't even dare to take 2 hands off the bars. I just
like Will Ferrell and Talladega Nights. He's like, I don't know what to do with my hand. So so it sounded like a pretty lucky win then, I suppose.
Yeah.
So what happens
20 minutes
now?
longer, I would have lost.
What happens now with the makeup of the Tour de France team? Like, you're the one that's obviously got some great legs, and a few of your other teammates are a bit banged up. Is it going to shuffle things around at all, or still the same?
Nah, they're going to stay. They're sticking to it, and fair enough. Like, I mean, I don't, I'm not claiming I need to be the protector guy or anything, and they'll stick to their plans. The only big question mark is how Stevie pulls up, because I think like he crashed pretty hard, like a dislocated shoulder, and we all know Stevie's shoulders. I mean, they wouldn't. They're big. They don't move easy. I mean,
did he bend the end of the coat hanger? Did he?
There's a hole in the road with that shoulder.
Well, it depends what the injury is. Like, I did my AC joint last year, and that's different to a dislocated shoulder. And
you were out for a while. You were 1 week. You were. I mean, I think
I was.
Yeah.
I think if it's a dislocated shoulder, you'll be fine, no? But the AC joint. I don't know. I was out for a while, but
no, I hope that. Man, it's crazy, eh? Like how things can change. Like it's looking, like those boys were all just flying. Dauphiné squad was, and then suddenly Primoz crashes, Stevie crashes, and you go, this is why cycling is never finished until it's finished. Like shit can change so quick. But yeah, I mean,
but bloody Primoz is in stellar form, eh?
He's
looking unbeatable.
He just looks insane. But the other thing is like Ineos. There's been like this big like Visma Ineos battle like played up. Everyone's talking about that. But like Ineos, this isn't their first rodeo, eh? Like I wouldn't be surprised. They'll come out hooking.
Oh yeah. Hey, I want to. Speaking of the Ineos and Visma rivalry. So I've noticed in recent media publications across a few different places that Ineos remains Ineos. That's what they're called. But they're calling you guys the Killer Bees. Where the fuck did that come from?
Isn't that a gang in South? Wasn't Tiki Tane a Killer Bee?
I don't know if he was, but there was a gang called the Killer Bees,
specialising in dealing methamphetamine. So I don't know if that's a route we want to go down to, the Killer Bees. Jeez,
they're calling you the Killer. I'm presuming it's because you wear yellow and black. I mean, I hope so. Not because that's what I would have thought.
Yeah, I think that's a good assumption there.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good.
So guys, we're 44 minutes in. Should we get onto the itinerary now?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah. So what are we going to do? Let's focus on a couple of things. We'll whack out our year. Our throwback to whatever.
The year better than 2020.
Yeah, and then we'll do our Legend or Bellend. Who are we actually doing for Legend or Bellend in the end?
I have no idea. I can't even find
Ricky Gervais?
Oh, we do.
No, he's a legend. Everyone's a legend.
I reckon we do. Since the researchers. Zuckerberg, yeah, we need to do somebody that's.
We need someone that's on the fence, like.
And we need someone. We need something that we haven't that we can do without research.
Vladimir Putin.
What about the human race, like the mankind, like human beings in general?
Yeah,
all right.
I reckon that's a good argument there.
Yeah.
So should we start off with our year, 2005?
Yeah, we'll finish with Legend of Belling.
All right, 2005. It's an absolute belter of a year. For me personally, it was the first Tour de France I went to. That was when Lance, at the time, had won 7. I was straight out of film school, bluffed my way to get a job at the Tour. And then, once I landed, I didn't know anything about cycling, really. And I got this opportunity to do this doco. And I remember we had to do some filming for SBS. It was the first time they went live to air. And they needed another cameraman, so I sort of weaseled my way in. And before they had done wedding videos, and that was about it. I remember we got the first day in, I submitted all this footage, and it was Trevorrow interviewing Cadel Evans, and I was doing these wide shots, and, you know, if he had a big guts then, and I'm swinging left and right. I remember handing the tape in, like, hey, we got Cadel. I remember Mike Tomalaris that night, like, he pulled me aside in the TV truck, and he goes, mate, can you come here? He goes, what the fuck is that footage? I go, hey, it's good, eh? It's no. Have you ever worked in TV before? And I said, mate, I got a level with you. I've worked on wedding videos, and even they were shit. He's like, oh, fuck. He goes, I'll pull you aside with a cameraman and just give you a rundown of how to film for TV. And after that, we were fine. That was awesome. And then after that, went on a Kentucky tour around Europe. Went to Mykonos. Fuck, it was awesome.
Did you do the bus Kentucky?
Yeah, 23 days. Starting in London. Went with 2 mates, Illy and Dimo. And we ripped it a new one. I reckon in 6 weeks we had 1 night off the piss, and that was because we were drinking jugs of Red Bull vodka the night before, and our hearts just didn't feel up to scratch the next night. We had a night off, but other than that, great year. You know, you had like the Ashes. Remember that was when Tony was spinning them about 2 meters. Like that was 05 for you boys.
I won a junior world title in 2005.
Ooh.
Did you?
Yeah.
TP or TP?
TP. I was second in the IP. We won the TP. Team Pursuit.
It's a real winners edition of the Social Distance podcast. This one.
We're talking about lucky wins like George's. It was a lucky win for us because the Brits crashed in the final. And we were behind. But we got the rainbow jersey. So that was my first time to Europe, actually. It was my last year of school as well, which coincided real well with my first trip to Europe because I got to miss a whole term, which I was more than happy about. And we went to Switzerland for about 4 or 5 weeks, trained at the UCI centre there before the Junior Worlds. Lived in the dorm rooms there of Montséjour. Have you stayed there, George?
No, never. Actually,
mate,
are they as grim as they sound?
Oh, it's pretty grim, eh? It's pretty grim. But it was fun. It was so fun. We had a good group of guys. It was like Jesse Sargent was there.
Who were you with? You were with Joe Cooper.
No.
He was just track team only, not with the road team.
No, the road team was not Joe Cooper either, though.
Who's Joe Cooper? With him.
Yeah, but that was Lemieux. Yeah. That was under 23 the next year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2005.
Well, we had 1 year off. I'm not like, you know, that was 10 years later. It was a year later.
Even the research on our own stories is shit.
Yeah, no, it was a good fun. We did 4 or 5 weeks in Switzerland, and then we went to Vienna. The Worlds were in Vienna. Had my whole family there: mum, dad, my brother, grandma, and granddad. It was bloody good actually. Good times. And then what happened? What else happened in 2005 that I was part of?
You had just in general, you had the Live 8 concerts. The first ever YouTube video was uploaded in 2005.
Yeah.
Really?
YouTube launched in 2005. That's a game changer. Big game changer.
Wow.
For better or worse.
So what were kids doing before then? I mean, I never,
mate, LimeWire.
When was the first sort of
stealing shit off Kazaa and that?
MTV.
Yeah, okay.
MTV.
J2. Do you guys have Juice TV?
Juice TV.
Yeah.
Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Yep. But when was the first time kids like that you just had information available in your hand all the time? Like what year was that? That was because I think that must have been 11 or 10 or something.
07, 08, yeah.
I think Facebook launched in 2006.
Yeah.
Okay.
MySpace was big around
Bebo.
end of 05.
I had a great Bebo account.
Did you?
I think it's probably still exists. Can I might try it right now.
Yeah, have a look.
Really.
Do you know what else happened in 2005? What we'll all remember was Hurricane Katrina.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to believe it was 15 years ago, eh?
Yeah. And
was it as bad as I remember, or was it that it was in America and?
No, it was bad. It basically wiped New Orleans off the face of the earth. No.
And they didn't react fast enough for a lot of the people, like getting them out and giving them support and stuff. And then that was, remember when Kanye West did that live cross? But he was doing that live cross, and it was with Mike Myers. Have you seen that video?
Yeah. No.
And he's at the end and he's talking with Mike Myers, and they're just about to finish, like to donate, and then he goes, "George Bush does not care about black people." And then you see like this guy. Yeah, freaked out.
Yeah, no, that was real gnarly. There was thousands and thousands.
But the London bombings,
I can't find any Bebo.
Yeah.
There's
London bombings.
Famous deaths: Pope John Paul, Johnny Carson, Richard Pryor. But then talk about good stuff, like some cracking movies. 40-Year-Old Virgin, Wedding Crashers. I like that Fun with Dick and Jane, like the Jim Carrey one. But a bloody underrated movie. So obviously in COVID, you want to go back through the archives and dig out a perler. World's Fastest Indian, about the Kiwi guy.
Oh,
yeah. Monroe.
That is unreal.
Oh, there's a great scene in that movie where what's that famous philosopher's name again? It's lost me.
Aristocrates.
Yeah, it wasn't. No, it was going to be a fucking shit story if I can't think of that.
Socrates.
Yeah. Well, which scene are you talking about? When he rattles off a famous line from this philosopher.
Yeah, and then the little kid next door says, "Oh, who said that?" And he said, "This famous philosopher."
Plato.
And the kid goes, "Oh, who's that?" And he goes, he's just a bloke up in Dunedin." It's quite funny.
And then if you want to watch a really good doco, Grizzly Man. That's about a guy who lives with wild bears. And he's a bit of a fruit box, and it doesn't need, you don't have to be an Einstein to work out what happened to him in the end.
Mate, I'm going through the top 10 of the Billboard Hottest 100 2005. What a shit year for music.
Yeah, I'm just...
What a shit year. Number one. Yeah, what? Number one, We Belong Together, Mariah Carey, fucking rubbish. Number two, Holla Back Girl, Gwen Stefani, fucking rubbish.
Tune.
Number three, Let Me Love You, Mario, fucking rubbish. Number four, Since You've Been Gone, Kelly Clarkson, terrible. 1, 2 Step, Ciara, feat Missy Elliott, shit. 6, Gold Digger, Kanye West, Jamie Foxx, great tune. Yeah. 7, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, Green Day, not bad.
Not
8,
bad.
Candy Shop, 50 Cent. That was a shit song until they sung it on Old School. Number 9, Don't Ya, the Pussycat Dolls. Hot girl, but...
Oh, that was almost more punishing than now. Like, that's a genre of music is almost worse than the mumble rappers, the SoundCloud rappers that the top 10 now is...
No, number 10. Number 10, around at the top 10. Behind These Hazel Eyes, Kelly Clarkson.
Kelly Clarkson had a good 05.
Fucking shocking year for music.
Do you know all I remember from... I still can't find your Bebo page. I've been trolling the internet for this, but I just can't find it. The only thing I remember from 2005, I don't have any cycling-related stuff because I don't think I really was riding. I was, but not, I wasn't. I think I just started or something. Anyway, was the original Amazing Pace. So do you remember the TV show The Amazing Race? And you had to, get to destinations and solve food. And so in Nelson, New Zealand, we had The Amazing Pace, which was a knockoff of this, and it was just before Christmas. And what you had to do is you had to get a partner, and you had to dress up like a complete dickhead, and real outrageous dress up. And then there was 12 pubs around the greater sort of Nelson Tasman region, and it's quite big, so you go out to Motueka, which is 50k away, and or 40k away, and then you had to go to different areas. And at each pub, you had to drink a jug. You had to share, and a jug's like, what do you call it?
They know what a jug is.
4.5 point.
Yeah.
Most of our listeners are Kiwis.
Yeah,
and Aussies.
Yeah. So you had to drink a jug between two of you, and you had to keep the receipt, and you had to drink 12 jugs, and you had to hit. And the only way you could get around was hitchhiking. And
I was going to say, who was driving?
No. So so you had to hitchhike. But
What
you
is that
dressed
guy
like
going
a big
35k
fuckwit.
an hour through the speed camera?
Yeah, and you're steamed. You dress like a dickhead, and no one wants to pick you up, and you have to work out how to get from A to B. And it just turned into one of the most horrific days. Like a day that you start at 11 a.m. and then I clearly remember that one of my mates came back 2 days later. He got picked up like in the middle leg by these German tourists, and decided that he was just going to go to Golden Bay with them and spend 2 days camping. And it was just the loosest time. And that lasted quite a few years, the amazing pace. And I think eventually people around that time of year just stopped, just became wise to us and just stopped picking up people dressed up.
4 hitchhikers went missing. They're like, might have to bin that.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Legion Rebellion, human race. So I'm talking about just us, all of us that exist.
Okay.
And I was thinking about this a little bit on the bike today, actually. So I did a little bit of research on it a couple of weeks ago, and there's an interesting. So the whole idea behind it is, nature versus nurture comes into it at some point, but the main idea is humans born inherently good and they become bad for those that do, or they're born inherently bad and they become good for those that do.
Oh.
And they did a study with these toddlers because they reckon toddlers are the number one subject of whether you're good or bad, because they don't.
As an uninfluenced so far.
Yeah, uninfluenced and everything, but they have certain emotions and that they can judge these things. And they did these. They used this drawing of these so they got toddlers to look at this drawing, and it was basically a guy climbing up a mountain, and that was the image that they looked at. And then the image then went to another page where it was a guy behind him on the mountain pushing him, and then the next image was a guy above him pushing him down the mountain. So obviously pretty clear cut what the situation is there. And then they continue to show these images in different ways and shapes and forms. And then the kids toddlers always react to what they're most interested in. So it doesn't matter what it is. It can be a plastic bottle of water or it could be a golden chalice. They'll take whatever they feel is the right thing or whatever, And so then they got these two pictures and they had the bad guy and the good guy, the guy pushing down, the guy pushing up, and showed it in front of them. And they were basically on the bad guy for like 1 second, and then on the good guy for like 10 seconds. So they deemed that as saying like the human is born with looking at this guy going, he's good. He's trying to help. He's the guy that I want to be interested in, And then you obviously go deep into the nature versus nurture. I've had this discussion before with a couple of mates as well. And it's people have different ideas on it. And I mean, I don't know the answer. But you're certainly born.
What is the essential argument with nature versus nurture?
Well, nature is is what you inherit, just like your nose, your eyes, your ears, whatever. It's your character, it's your personality. You're born. You're not born a blob. You're born already with something going on upstairs. You have an emotion one way or another, and that's inherited from your parents. And then nurture is the way that you're brought up, obviously. So if you're in a house of love and you're treated right and you're taught the right thing from day one, say please, say thank you, take your shoes off, all that stuff, then that's how you carry forth in life. If you've taught the opposite, then you don't know the difference, and that's how you carry forth in life.
One thing I always find really weird with that is like, if let's say two markers might be one is like say religion, or one is like another one could be like what way you vote. You always, if you're brought up getting told like, this is this religion, generally you're going to be that religion. Or if you go and say, Democrats with this, or Democrats suck, you got to be a Republican. You generally just do what your parents do. So like, At what point is that idea actually formed when you go, oh yeah, mum and dad are right. Yeah, this is how I've grown up. And then therefore agree, you know, like at some point you have to agree with their ideas instead of like, so you're not really free to make your own choice. I mean, some people obviously change and differ from their parents and break away from religion or whatever. But like at some point you do just follow what your parents do.
Well, I think to a certain point, and then as you get older and you become more educated and you become more worldly, and you know, these are all things that you've been taught, and they remain a very strong part of you forever, really. And I think at a certain point, I reckon there's a real, because the debate with nature and nurture is which one wins. Are we operating on our nature, or are we operating on our nurture? But I don't think it's that clear cut. I honestly think it's a crossover between the two, because you learn a certain thing when you're young, and you don't know anything outside of that, because what you learn is from people you respect and you love, and that's what you believe is right. But then eventually, as you become more educated, like I say, your nature then starts to come into play. You know, whereas, for example, here's an example for you that I used once in an argument with some other people. I know that it's wrong to fight. You know, I know that it's wrong to punch somebody. It's wrong to physically hurt someone. We all know that. It's completely wrong. That's what I've been taught. That's what I've been nurtured to believe. If I get cornered and by some guy, I've done nothing wrong, haven't provoked anyone, he slams me up against the wall, and it's at that point where there's only one way out of this. I got to fucking hit this dude. That's my nature going, right, I'm going to fucking smack this guy, because if I don't, I'm going to get smacked. So there's a real crossover.
Don't you think that's just
point.
fight or flight? That's just self-preservation.
No, but because what I've been taught is don't hit him, Sam. That's the wrong thing to do.
But you've also been taught.
Although I haven't really been taught that.
Yeah, I was going to say, Kenny's taught you a fistful of quarters, mate.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, but you've also been taught don't get killed. More importantly, don't get killed. You know, don't fight, awesome, but don't get killed. So that's why
fight or flight is nature. Your nature. It's a natural thing, isn't it? It's not. There's no schools about it.
And are they saying also that your personality is formed by the time you're 6 or 7, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think they reckon that it's pretty much like locked in as early as that.
Yeah.
And then the rest, obviously, you know, you can change a little bit. But I wonder what effect social media and access to so much instant messaging on tablets and that is going to have on the next generation going through.
Yeah. And to argue on the balance side of things for the human race, one thing that irks me is the fact that like our superiority in this world, like we believe that we inherently believe that this planet is ours, and it's ours to do with what we wish, which is bullshit. This planet was here well before us. And the only reason that we are like that now is because we are superior in some ways. We're superior the way our brains have developed. So from a mental side of things.
That's that way. That's only our brain.
And maybe the population of, you know, arguably, there's centipedes and things out there.
If we were sitting around in a cave, if the same conversation was sitting around in a cave 60,000 years ago, when we weren't superior, when we were still fighting, you know, okay, maybe
woolly mammoths
100,000 years ago, you know, we were still coming out of Africa and, we were obviously well evolved by then, but
this is where the research is coming in.
This is where I'm completely.
We came from Hawaii.
Yeah.
I think the out of Africa theory is now the prevailing one, though. Anyway, whatever. We came from. We're fighting mammoths. We're sitting around a cave. Ago. We're not dominant. We're sitting around here going, "Oh, are we Bellians or are those fucking mammoths? How about those guys? Fucking speared old mate." You know, like back then it was just dog eat dog, and then now.
We were dominant then because we eradicated so many of those species that were dangerous.
Okay, wind it back a bit longer then. Wind it back when we were monkeys.
I reckon don't even wind it back. Do it now. Like, are we superior? I beg to differ. I reckon if you took
who's superior?
Well, the human race.
Yeah, but who's superior than the human race?
Oh, I'm going to tell you, right? I'm going to tell you right now. Lions.
Oh, okay.
Lions. So, like, if you took 10 people and 10 lions and you put them. Okay, you can argue, in their natural habitat, they're better off. Yeah, for example, we've got no chance against the shark underwater. We might have a better chance outside of water. Doesn't matter where the fuck you put a line. You can put yourself in a room on your 12th floor of your 5th Avenue apartment in New York City overlooking Central Park with a lion. You will lose. I guarantee it.
Yeah, but the lion doesn't have access to shotties.
No, but
yeah. So you could, as a human, because of our brain, we can get a crossbow. We can arm ourselves to the gills.
I'm just a big fan of the lion, eh?
Okay, here's one for you. Would you rather take on the shark in its natural environment unarmed, or the lion unarmed in its natural environment? I mean, you're going to lose either, but I think you'd rather take your chance with the lion.
Just on a lion, Phil Liggett tells a story about his mate who was going for a ride in Africa on his mountain bike, and all of a sudden, this lion saw him and was chasing him. And he's riding and he shit himself and he threw like his water bottle at him and the lion just ducked and kept going at him. And then at the last minute, he stood up with his bike on his head and started screaming, and then the lion backed away because it just sees the size and the shape. And because he was on his mountain bike, he thought he was like a gazelle or something, like that's prey. And he stood up and screamed at it, and the lion backed away and headed off, saved his life.
That's what you're supposed to do with bears, isn't it? Make yourself as big as possible.
Yeah. So if you're ever out on a mountain bike ride, for all those listeners in near the Kruger National Park, just stop and throw the bike on top of your head. Hey, one other thing about the human race and generations, I was talking to my old man about this. He probably grew up the best time to be alive. Like, he was born 1953. You think of that generation, like what they grew up and what they went through. They never really had a big world war. I mean, there was Vietnam and all that sort of stuff. They've never really had to deal with like a pandemic like this. In terms of generations now, the next generations, we're going to be paying all this debt off for 30, 40 years. Could you imagine now, this is getting back to that Zoom chat with the blokes from Sale. Could you imagine if you were 18 or 19 through this pandemic and not being able to go out to pubs, not being able to go out and, catch up with chicks or whatever? Like, it'd be horrific.
What's the best age? You'd want to just be a baby, eh?
Yeah, you want to be a newborn right now. Except for the fact, like,
but the newborns are going to be probably paying it off as well.
You don't want to be 70 plus, that's for sure.
I don't mind being 30. You don't want to be 70 plus, no. I don't mind being 30 in this pandemic. I mean, it's a good age because, it's not that it's been all bad. I take some good memories from this. I mean, I think of this is a good, I remember back in COVID. Like, it's kind of look back on a bit of fondly on the. I know it was shit house at the time, but like you'll bump into someone in 5 years' time or 10 years' time and go, "Oh, hey mate, how are you? Fuck, I remember when you were Facebook friends with me."
Yeah.
Before the COVID hit.
Before you started sharing conspiracy theories on Facebook, you fucking wanker. No, it's but like I don't think the 50th. No, mate, you're off, Jonsey. I don't know where you're going. No, you're going red. You got red lights on your microphone. It's not good.
He can't defend himself. Let's have a crack.
Yeah, so let's just go to town on Jonsey. I think your last point. I think being born in the 50s. I don't think that was the best generation. Like, apart from the fact that like houses were free, or essentially like $5.
If you knew about computers, then you'll be right.
Yeah, but they got, you think their culture back then, they used to go to like discos and the music was like Beatles and all this sort of pure stuff. I know. We did the top 10 of 2005. It's a bag of shit.
But you imagine being a black man growing up in 1950s. Definitely wasn't the generation to be in. I mean,
no.
Imagine being the LGBTQTI community.
All I'm saying is my old man who grew up in Sale, where there wasn't a whole heap that happened. Like
he wasn't black and he wasn't gay.
Yeah, well, he lived a simple life. Like he had it pretty good. And even that generation of dads, let's be honest, they did fuck all. Like, they
didn't have nappies.
My old man built our first house.
Did he?
Yeah. Probably cost him $8, but he did it.
Yeah.
Could have bought one for $5.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thought was there.
Yeah,
so legend of
On the whole, just looking at like what's the amount of other species we've knocked off. I reckon we're bellends.
I reckon we're balanced too.
Yeah,
judging by the state of you two, I'm
Absolutely.
bellends.
I reckon as well. We could do much more for the planet.
Yeah.
And
Well, fuck, I would have done more research. I would have done more research on humans if I knew. I thought it was Ricky Gervais.
When did we once say Ricky Gervais?
Here's a random stat on Ricky Gervais.
I said Jerry Seinfeld.
He broke a Guinness World Record with his podcast. So he talked about podcasts. In 2005, Ricky Gervais' comedy radio program, The Ricky Gervais Show, became a podcast. Within months, it became the #1 podcast in the world. In 2007, Guinness World Record for the most downloaded podcast. How many downloads do you reckon, Bills? 300 million.
Fuck me.
That is a lot.
Well ahead of us.
Anyway.
We're top 20 in the New Zealand charts now. We were when I posted that thing, we wanted to be top 25. We were 22. We're now 20. So we're heading up
That's
there.
awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are we knocking off?
Keep
We've been knocking
spreading
off
the
a few
word.
cycling ones. Do we get in front of Wiggo?
Yeah. And
We got in
Lance.
front of Wiggo. Did we get in front of Lance? We got in front of Lance.
We're in front of Lance. We got in front of Lance.
Well,
We're
you
behind.
got to keep winning races, George. We need you to put in a really big Tour de France for the ratings.
Yeah, I'll be getting bottles all Tour de France, but maybe I can do something scandalous.
Yeah.
Marty Devlin's only a few in front of us.
Oh, Martin Devlin.
The ACC agenda was about 5 or 10 in front of us.
All right.
Matty Johns is up there. Number one is no.
I think we're by reading off the top list charts. I think we're just dropping ourselves back to 30th. So
oh yeah,
I also got up at 4 o'clock this morning to get home from. Hey, by the way, are you in my house? Go back to view the screen quickly. Yeah, mate, you're at my house. Okay. Why?
Yeah,
What's wrong with? Why are you in my apartment?
I'm perfectly aware of where I am. I made the conscious decision to come here.
Why?
Oh no, it smells better. Less dishes.
Okay.
I don't have to do any dishes either when I eat down here.
Can you make the bed? I'm going to come up. I might be up tonight or tomorrow. I'm going to ride up.
No, I came down here for the internet. Yeah, that's going to be a big problem actually when you move. George is moving apartments next week. He's moving just 50 meters from here, but I'm pretty sure his internet won't reach my apartment then, so it's a bit of an issue for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a real issue.
Mm-hmm. All right, boys, it's an hour 12, but I reckon we've got about 5 minutes of culling to do.
Yep.
And then we'll be right.
All right.
Great episode.
Okay.
And speaking quickly on Ricky Gervais, since we did Human Race, he believes the human race are balanced as well. He's quite a proficient. He tells people that all the time.
Yeah, he's a big animal fan as well, so he'd be a fan of the lion for sure.
Loves lions. All right.
All right.
Okay.
Cheers,
All right.
mate.